right. It's a pretty rocky morning so far. We got the ES down 61, the Dow down 276, the NASDAQ down almost 300. It's been pressure down all morning. The Russell down almost 30. We got crude oil trading at $58. Wow, amazing. But I guess the story of the day is absolutely gold and silver. Gold now on a record pace, 4150. 4150. Just absolutely insane move on gold. Absolutely insane. And there you go. Silver just hit their first record since 1980. Wow. 45 years. 45 years. And I think the only other thing going on this morning is Goldman Sachs came out with results. That stock's up 1.2%. No shock there. That's no shocker. Where'd it go? Why is it not working? Goldman Sachs. Also looks like there was a merger, Astria Therapeutics and BCRX, whatever, I don't even know what that is. BioCryst. Who the hell knows? What, I don't know. I mean, I've heard of ATXS. So ATXS is up because it's an M&A with BT, whatever. So two little biotechers, which that overall has been a really hot sector, biotech. Biotech in general has been pretty hot. These charts. Do the XBI. The XBI. XBI. Come on. Garbage. XBI's been on a tear since like last April from its lows. Just a complete, absolute tear. I have to say, I was actually on that one. It was one of the few. I actually missed the rare earth thing. I totally missed that. I totally hit foul ball on that. But this one I actually got down on, I think in May. I want to say May. I got into this. Because, and it was nothing more than just like, look, I saw it hit its lows, and I was like, you know what? If healthcare is going to come under fire, companies are going to put more money in R&D. And that seemed to have worked out. And it's been a pretty good run for that thing. And I didn't pick any specific stocks in the group. I just went with the index fund because... there's not that many. I mean, let's face it. You know, biotech is kind of like any other industry. There's relatively few. You know, I shouldn't say there's relatively few. There's relatively few big ones. But there's the ones that this has, you know, and it has all the big players. You know, Gilead, Moderna, Amgen. You know, 'cause I'm not going to sit there and try and pick which one of these are going to be. So it was just easier to pick the index, and that's the XBI, and I just bought it. I actually outright bought the thing. What else is going on? J&J. I was going to look at that one today. I know they had earnings today. I had it written down. Take a look at that one. Get rid of this. Still getting beat up in freaking Starbucks. J&J has earnings. I think they came out already. So J&J pre-market after spin-off. I don't know what that's all about. So J&J's gonna spin something off. What are they spinning off? Let's see. Spin-off. I don't know what the hell that means, but I don't know what they're spinning off. It seems to be a trend this year. Let's see. CEO Joaquin Duato. Man, if that doesn't have like a douchebag name written all over it, right? Joaquin Duato. Oh my God, that's such a douchebag name. What are they spinning off? To separate orthopedics business into something. What does it say? Orthopedics. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. I'm stupid. Orthopedics. Orthopedics. What a dope. Orthopedics business into independent company. I just can't see is what it is. I mean, I'm terrible. I'm old and decrepit. Orthopedics and Joaquin Duato. Gonna spin it off into a separate unit. Blah blah blah. Separation, which is expected to complete within 18 months. We'll create the world's largest orthopedics focused company. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure it will. So you know what that's all about. That's all about spinning that off so that they can eventually go public with it. And I don't know how that's going to get spun off. Is it going to get spun off with like stock and be a publicly traded? I don't know. I didn't read into it. I did not read into it. I usually don't. I don't own any, so I don't really care. If I actually own some, I probably worry about it and see how they're going to spin that off. Are you going to get stock? So anyway, that's what's going on with J&J. Is it up today? What's the story with that? It's up a little bit. But they have earnings today. So I don't know if they announced those. I didn't think did I see that and I ignored it? Yeah. Sales get a boost from Trina something drug, some drug, whatever drug this is. In the third quarter, fueled partly by, I can't pronounce that. I don't know what the hell it is, which grew sales 41%. That follows growth. So what is that? I don't even know what that is. Trenify? I have no idea. Crohn's disease. So there was another one. And then I actually was looking at possibly a trade I was looking at a trade in J&J. Let's see. It's up $1. I was looking at maybe a calendar spread. I was going to go out to December. I didn't really. November seems too close right now. I was thinking of a calendar spread. Good IV rank though. I don't know. I don't know if I'd really want to sell puts today. The fact that it's up, that kind of bothers me. Don't like to buy when it's up. But I would do a calendar spread. I like the 180. I always like calendar spreads. For calendar spreads, I like to do around the 70. Around the 70 is what I normally like to do for calendar spreads. The 70 delta. I just find that to be a kind of a sweet spot. If I can find my parenter. Where's my parenter? There it is. I usually like to stick around a 70 delta. So get myself 70 positive deltas. So that brings us right around the 180. There is nothing like right at 70. The closest is actually the 185 because it's 66. Now these are all going to change. And with it being up $1, which again, I'm not a real fan of. The delta on the 185 should be the closest to 170. And so what you do is you sell the front month because it's a calendar spread. And you buy the back month, right? So the front month be December 2020. So we're going to sell that. And then January, you would buy the 185. And that would be your calendar spread. You do that for $1.30. It's basically a negative delta according to this, which is, again, always with the calendar spread, the delta stuff and the probability of profit and that kind of stuff just kind of goes out the window because they really can't calculate it because you got that 1 month in between these that kind of screws up all the math and the statistics. But if you were to go to look at this on the curve, theoretical price, again, this isn't going to be a banger. You're not going to make, you're not going to double your money, but you can make $50, $60 on this on $100.30 trade. That's a nice return. That's a nice return and not really kind of, kill yourself. Where if you're wrong, you're going to blow up your account. You're not. So, nice little baby trade like this. I kind of like this one. Or if you want to lean more bullish, just make it a diagonal and then move that front month. And you can see just by moving the front month from 185 to 190, you make it a diagonal calendar spread. And the reason it's diagonal is because it's 2 different strikes and it's across 2 different expiries, right? So it's a diagonal. It's going to cost you more money, right? That's a $453 trade. That gets you about 9 deltas long. But that one's going to cost you more money. So either one, I mean, to me, again, if you want to be a little more, I'm not really that bullish on J&J. I'm more neutral, which is why I like the calendar spread here. And, more importantly, I think the reason I was even looking at J&J, right, because I looked at it because there was earnings coming out, number one. Number two, it's kind of in one of those places, in one of those sectors right now that has gotten overall pretty beat up. I mean, they're kind of on the mend a bit, but they've gotten beat up. And, and it's kind of I hate to say value. I hate that freaking term. Value is a relative term. I hate that term. But it's more based on price in this sector just kind of being beat up. And it's a big name. So that's kind of trade number one this morning. Going into today is the 185 calendar spread. Dece Jan. Right? I'm going out a little further as again because November just seems a little too close right now. If I was going to do anything short term in November, I would do probably a volatility based trade because we have volatility kind of spiking again today. It's up to 21. The VIX is up to 21. We're kind of getting a little bit of a whooping again today. We're kind of getting beat up. We're down a little bit. And, that's kind of how I would, that's how I would play it. So there's trade number one today, J&J. Also on the list, what else did I have on the list? I actually wrote it down. Wow, surprising. What else did I write down? Freeport McMoRan. Now I bought the stock Friday on the big sell-off. I did buy this Friday. Freeport Mac. And it did have a nice bounce back. It's down today about $1. But it did have a nice snapback yesterday, as did everything, really. And I do think I already in something. Yeah, I actually did. And what I did in Freeport Mac is I actually sold a put spread. I haven't done that in a while. So I sold a put spread. I sold the 40-35 put spread. So there's another trade. I actually like it today because it's off. Again, it's down today. But I still like that. I may actually add to this. And I went in December. I did the 40-35. There it is right there. See? So I do not lie like a lot of these other traders. And this is a real account, folks. These are real. These are all real accounts. These are all real losses. Yeah, that's another thing too. All in here, these are all real losses. I'm getting my ass kicked in Starbucks. I did short silver and gold. I didn't go crazy, but and these are real losses in here. Real losses, real gains, the real deal. No smoke screens here. And anybody who's been following me long enough knows I've been doing this I've been actually broadcasting since 2013, which I didn't realize it was longer than 10 years. I was like, damn, wow. I have nothing to hide. I could care less, right? Because I know I'm going to lose. I just, try not to lose and keep losing. But you can see today is just going to be a bad day. Because I'm long. I have stock in here, right? So I'm not a person that's like keeps all my cash. I don't just sit on cash. I have stocks that I don't sell because, same reason why most other people don't sell their stocks. I want to pay taxes. I don't really give a shit what everybody says. Everybody says, oh, wait, hold on long enough. You'll eventually give it all back. Yeah, well, okay, so that's fine. I would rather give it back to the market than give it to the fucking government. I'm sorry. That's just my attitude. And anyway, so Freeport Mac, decent IV rank. I kind of like the put spread. still. If you want to get down on that, I think if I was going to do something today, I'd probably mix, since I'm already in the put spread, I'd probably mix in a little. A few calls here, and get long some calls. And this one, it'd be just a simple call spread. And I'm not really a fan of being out of the money either. I kind of like the 40. Kind of like the 40, 30, 40, 45. It's going to be a little cheaper today than what this is showing. You'd probably be able to get this for about $2.25, I think, today. Since Freeport Mac is down about $1. But I kind of like adding that one on. So there's another one for you, the 40-45. Simple call spread. It's going to get you about 23 deltas long. And, pretty small trade, not really a big banger. You can manage your own risk. You want to do it, 10 times. I would advise, if you're going to do it more than, if you're going to do it more than 2 times, you're better off just, especially like with a spread like this, you're better off just either buying the damn stock outright and bite the bullet, or just buy the option outright and don't even sell. And the reason I say that is because, like, at some point, doing more contracts, although it may seem like, you're adding to the commission you're paying, so it's reducing your, it's eating into your gain if you do eventually have a gain. Where if you buy the stock, you're not going to pay any commission. So anyway, I'm just kind of looking at it that way. So I usually don't do more than like one type of strategy. I always try to add, like you notice here, like if I'm going to add a bullish position here on Freeport Mac, I'm going to sell some puts. I'm going to buy some calls. I bought some stock in another account, but I'm going to buy some stock. I might buy some stock and sell some calls. Like in this particular instance, I actually did a Freeport Mac. We'll just look at my own account. I did a covered call. And here's my short here. I bought 300 shares of Freeport Mac. Here it is right here. I bought it at 41.29, and I sold the December 45 calls. And you can see overall this position is about flat. I think I'm down about $10 based on this. And the reason I did that is that, look, I kind of saw this as an opportunity that, it was down. I always when I buy stock, I always like to sell calls when I first do it. I don't know why. It's just kind of a habit I've gotten into. I rarely will buy stock out of the gate and not sell calls against it and do a cover call right away. Because in my particular instance, I'm always looking to hedge my bets, where I figured if this thing goes above 45 and this gets called away, well, so be it. And I will have done pretty good on that then. So, and then if it does decide to keep going down, at least I have something that I can roll into, right? I have these calls that I can roll down and kind of continue and reduce cost basis. So anyway, that's what I had done. So that may not be a bad option here as well, is maybe a covered call on Freeport. You buy 100 shares, and I still like the 45 strike. I still like that 45 strike. It's still paying over $2 in December. And so you could also do that. So that would be, buy the stock and then sell the 45. And there's your covered call. And that puts your cost basis at $39. And that's not a bad place to sit in here. Obviously that one's going to run you some money, $3,900, but still, that's really not a bad place to be for a cost basis. So there's another one, and then I'm looking at this as like a copper play, because I'm not going to trade the copper futures, and there's really not too many options out there in general when it comes to trading copper. Now, I know there's all these different ETFs and all. They don't do it. They don't do it, folks. Trust me. They're garbage. They don't really, they're not like GLD and SLV where they're like a real sort of like one-to-one type of thing. They're not. They're all garbage. They're all garbage, and for the most part, most of them are very illiquid, the ETFs in copper. And so I've tended to stay away from them because I can't trade them. The options usually suck. But Freeport-McMoRan, I think, is probably, as far as like a copper substitute, it's probably the closest you're going to get, in my opinion. And I mean, again, this is just, my take on it. And that's where I've sat with copper. It's always been like, if I'm going to play copper, it's going to be Freeport-McMoRan. Or if I'm really feeling it, I will just go and trade the copper futures. And now, just be aware that the copper futures, although they've been good to me, I haven't traded them a lot. But when I have, I've done pretty good on them out of all the futures contracts. And it's probably because I just haven't really traded them a lot either. But they're not real liquid. They're very hard to trade, in my opinion. I don't think it's not like trading the ES. And then as far as like the options on copper, they're pretty bad. There's really not a lot of liquidity in there, for retail folks. I'm sure there's institutional stuff going on in here that make these, but even look at the open interest in here on the options contracts. I mean, they're terrible. They're absolutely awful. Look at this. I mean, there's barely 1,000 contracts open interest on some of these. Don't even have anything. So it's bad. I mean, it's bad. It's not very liquid. It's a big contract too. I think they, I don't know what the cost is. Yeah, 18 grand, $18,000 to do a frickin'. And I don't think the day trading margin on these are really anything to shake a stick at either. So it's a big boy contract. There's no question. It's big. It's big. And I think there's a micro too now that trades. I think it's the MHG, right? Is there a micro? Yeah, I haven't used it and I haven't traded it. I don't know what the volume looks okay on it. I mean, I'm just looking here. Volume doesn't look that bad. I have not really traded it at all, but I know it's out there. I don't know what kind. I'm sure it's probably like 4 or 5 grand, though. Even it's 1,800. That's not bad. That's not bad. 1,800, because that's about what an NQ or a micro NQ is, as far as like margin requirements. So anyway, that's kind of that's kind of all your options in copper as a retailer. I mean, unless you want to go and venture into some of those ETFs, I just care not to. They just don't do it for me. So anyway, that's kind of another one. It's the Freeport-McMoRan, and this one, and I already did something in here, is Baidu. I sold a put spread on Baidu on Friday. And today it looks like it's down about $5. I still like this trade. I went out to January on it, but I'm going to add. I might add to this today, even though I still like this put spread today. This 120, 110. It's a $10 wide, so it does have a little bit more. Has a little bit more margin requirement to it than just a regular 5 wide. But I still like Baidu long here, just from a tariff price type of thing. I think all this business that's going on, once again, I think it's all just going to evaporate into the horizon, a week or two from now. And I think a lot of these Chinese stocks are actually going to have a nice bounce. Now, I'm not looking to get into Baidu and bequeath it to my kids. This is purely a trade. I mean, I'm not really, I'm not really hip on what Baidu does as a business, and like I don't really care, honestly, like what they do as a business. But from a pure price and volatility point of view, I mean, this stock to me is like perfect. It's kind of sitting in a perfect spot to do something, and I think you can really sell puts in here and make some decent money. I mean, they're paying you pretty well, especially with the volatility up as high as it is right now at 73. That's pretty high. I mean, and then you look, I'll just bring the chart up on this one on Baidu real quick. You can see that volatility is kind of pretty elevated in here, and it doesn't normally stay up at these levels. And when it does, it actually collapses. I mean, you're looking at the average here probably being at about 30, and this thing's sitting at 73. It's kind of ripe, in my opinion. Now, you just got to brace yourself that, look, this might be a rocky road too, especially with all this tariff crap going on right now. But if you can kind of, to me, if you can kind of bite the bullet a little bit here and go deep, I think you'd be all right. I think you're going to be all right. Because again, I think all this is going to be in the rearview mirror by next week. And then everybody will be like, oh, blah, 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 right? Wah, 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 wah. And that's really all I had was those three for today. That's all I had written down. I know there's a couple of things going on today, with the Goldman Sachs and that merger, which I don't really care about. And then if I were actually going to go and look and reassess my portfolio, so to speak, I need to do something with Starbucks. I just have not been able to make any money on this stock this year at all. I've been rolling these puts that I have. I've been rolling these puts that I have forever, and it doesn't seem to be like, and we're down again today. Maybe it's over for Starbucks. I don't know. I think I lived down the road from what was deemed the busiest Starbucks in the state of New Jersey. And I drive by there pretty much almost every day. My wife drives by there almost every day. And I never not see cars lined up in that parking lot, and that may be an anomaly for Starbucks in general, but that's kind of what I see, and I'm like, wow, but maybe it's over for them, because I know now there's other places that are opening up. We got the 7 Brew now. Look, I'm not a coffee person. Like, I don't need to have my Starbucks. I don't need to have Starbucks coffee. I kind of don't care. To me, it's just nothing but sugar juice. But they basically opened another sugar juice place like right up the road. I think these places are going to be going. I think these places are all kind of, and I think what Starbucks kind of has going for it is kind of that brand loyalty thing that, eventually, and history has shown that they've actually always kind of like, even during the bad times, they've always kind of snapped back. And you can see from a price perspective, I mean, this thing was up to $120 earlier this year, and now, it's sitting at $80.79. Kind of think it's a good spot, but I thought it was a good spot, up here when it was at 96. Hey, what the hell do I know? I don't know jack shit, right? So I need to do something with that. That's kind of my biggest eyesore right now in my account. As far as the other ones, everything else is like kind of holding its own pretty good. So I'm not going to complain there. And that's about it. That's really all I got. And the market continues to sell off. We're down 65 now. AMD pre-market highs After Oracle headlines, I don't know what that's all about. Let's take a look at that. What happened there with AMD and Oracle? Oracle's going to use the AMD chip, I guess, in their... All right, I have to look at the Oracle headlines, I guess, in order to get that story. I don't know. Oh, I didn't know, but we'll take a look because I kind of own both of them. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure enables more customers to rapidly deploy AI. That's the announcement? So what is that? That's the announcement? That's the announcement? What does that have to do with AMD? Whatever. That's just fucking bullshit. What the hell's that got to do with it? I mean, they probably use the AMD chip on their stuff in the cloud, I guess. But what does that have to do with it? Oh my god. Whatever. Anyway, it's a market starving for headlines too. It's like it's so sad, so sad. It is a market starving for headlines, different headlines, I should say. That's and. So that's kind of the result of that. So there you go. Still continued a lot of pressure to the downside. Trade cautiously. We're kind of in that spot now where we're in October. Volatility spiking, getting little sell-offs here and there. Interesting. Make it an interesting market again, in my opinion. Things were getting too complacent and too kind of repetitive, and it's these types of markets that I kind of enjoy. I like the volatility. I like the unknown. I like when you start seeing things getting a little whipped around and stuff. Presents a lot of opportunity. So that's all I got. So have a good trading day and trade them tight. Have a good one.